Okay, so that's how we would go ahead and do that in Excel. Shoot, I forgot to start recording on my iPad, so we haven't been talking about this too much. But that's how we'd find the random sample of 30. Everyone's going to have a different number, but just making sure you guys know how to do that randomly. Again, whenever you're in trouble, whenever I'm in trouble with something, I just hit Google up and try and figure it out. Okay. I'm by no means anything close to an Excel spreadsheet or an Excel expert. What I think is kind of funny is I see, like, from most people, a lot of you ended up with IQs that were like under the mean, like the 99.74. A lot of us were under that value. But yeah, a few people got over, but not many. Okay. So that's the idea for selecting random values. I'm just going to go and write down my last one, which was 98.449. Okay. Okay, and then the last part says comment on which of these methods gives the best approximation to the mean of all 200 IQs. We're going to talk about that in a minute. What we're going to do first is we'll go to page 2 on our notes, and we've got types of sampling. Okay. And we'll talk about each one individually here. There's a lot. Let me put this there. So, first type of sampling is just simple random sampling. That's selecting completely at random.
You're not showing your iPad.
Thank you. Let's do that. Okay, selecting completely at random. All right, you guys see it now? Perfect. And that's what we just did for those last 30 values. Okay. So we used a random number generator, and we just kind of picked those numbers from our data set from a hat, basically. The next one is called systematic sampling. Systematic sampling was another example is for example, like taking every fifth person or something like that. Taking every fifth entry. Okay, at a random place. So that was one of the methods we used as well. We did say, let's take every fifth person, and we found the data that way, or we found a mean that way. Okay. The next one is convenience sampling. The word convenience should ring a bell. Okay. And that's just by selecting people that are easy to reach. Like if I said, I want to find out if Sunset students, I don't know, let's say, if Sunset students play sports, and I'm going to ask everyone that's currently on my Zoom call, that's very convenient for me because you guys are right here. That's what convenience sampling is. So, is getting data by selecting people who are easy to reach. Okay. And something very important about convenience sampling, it's not random. So it does not include a random sample. So it could be biased. Okay. All right, and then a biased sample is just simply a sample that is not random. All right. So anytime I'm doing like convenience sampling, it's a biased sample. Okay, anything like that. Okay, sometimes I might just say, I'm going to, like, there's another one called cluster sampling, which we'll talk about actually right now. Cluster sampling would be the same thing where it's like, I'm going to interview students and ask them if they like math, students at Sunset High School. But I'm only going to ask Miss McNamee's calculus students, okay, if they like math. And I'm going to ask all of her classes. I'm taking the cluster of an entire group, an entire class. That's what cluster sampling is, okay? So cluster sampling is taking a group, okay? A group of people together and sampling them. Plus, if I were asking a survey and said, I want to find out all the people that like math, and I'm going to ask all of the calculus students who I would assume love math, that's going to be a very, very biased survey to say all the Sunset students love math. 96% of them said they love math because all I've done is interview the calculus students and say, that's my sample for Sunset High School. Which I bet is actually pretty accurate. You guys all love math, right? Totally. All right. Last two, there's quota sampling and stratified sampling. Okay, so quota sampling is just as it sounds. It's setting quotas. For your sample. Okay.
Like what type of quotas?
It can be a lot of things. So, like, I guess, let's say I want to interview track athletes, but I need to interview the first 8 pole vaulters I see. Okay. So, as long as I interview 8 pole vaulters, then I'm good. So that's like setting a quota that says I have to interview 8 people that meet this criteria. Okay. Another example would be like, let's see, I want to interview 10 girls and 10 boys. Okay, that's an example of quota. So I'm setting up something specific that says I need 10 of each, and then I can stop my research as soon as I hit 10 for that sample. Okay, and then the last one is called stratified sampling, and that is selecting a random sample where numbers in certain categories are proportional. Are proportional to their numbers in the population. Okay.
So What's an example of that one?
So stratified sampling, a good example of that would be, let's say if I was trying to collect polling data for the 2020 presidential election. Okay, so I wanted to sample Democrats and Republicans in the state of Oregon. Okay, in the state of Oregon, let's say there are 60% Democrats and 40% Republicans in the entire state. And I go ahead and get 100 people together and I make sure 60 of them are Democrats and 40 of them are Republicans. That would be stratified sampling. I'm getting something that's proportional to my students, or is proportional to the actual population. Another good example would be, let's say we have 1,000 students at Sunset and we have 250 in each grade. So I want to get 100 students together and I want to make sure I get 25 from each grade to represent my sampling. That would be stratified sampling. So I'm specifically trying to match the population, but in a smaller scale. Okay? Those are all important types of sampling. All right, so on our Canvas page, I'm not gonna link back to the my computer right now, but I do have types of sampling PDF attached. And what I want you guys to do is go ahead and open the types of sampling attached. And I think I have something like 15, 16 different examples. Each one's going to fall into one of these categories. I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. It's a good group, a good amount of information. All right. Maybe, actually, I'll make it 15. And you guys are going to work through it and make sure you get the set up each one, assign each one a certain thing, and you can debate it, talk about it. Which one do you think falls in each? I know I just gave you a lot of information. All right, so we'll see what we can do. All right, so we're going to do about 4 to 5 people per breakout room. Are there any questions before I send you guys into your rooms? No? All right, so about 15 minutes. Make sure you open the PDF. You guys don't need to print it out, but then you can write down the types of sampling on your notes or whatever for each one. They're all lettered. Okay, A through whatever. All right, go. All right. All right, Haley, you're in group 1. Go ahead and join your breakout group.